What's going on, everybody? Casual here with the NR2003 Hub, and welcome back once again to another NR2003 overview, where in this video, we're going to be taking a bit of a dive here into what I believe is one of the most useful pieces of NR2003 external software. We are going to be taking a look at NRatings, developed by Matthew Sufi over at 64Soft, and like I said, I believe this is definitely one of the most useful programs that you can get for NASCAR racing in 2003 season. Really helps streamline the process of, I guess, just modifying ratings, and this program also allows you to import ratings from real-life data formulas, which we'll get into that here in just a second. But with all that being said, I'm going to take a quick dive here into the main interface. So we've got NRatings pulled up right now, and just taking a look at all the individual stuff. Starting up here towards the top, we have basically where NR2003 is defined. And when you open up the program for the first time, it'll either automatically assign that, or you might have to assign it yourself. But basically, it's just where your NR2003 folder is stored. And for me, in my case, it is C, the virus, NASCAR Racing 2003 season. And then under here will be your mod and your roster. So for mod, it will just be all of the different mods that you have installed that you can choose from. And then you also have the rosters that you can choose from as well for things like individual series within the same mod, or just in this case, like I've got individual races. So, like I said, I've got the 2003 Winston Cup mod pulled up, and you can see all of the cars that we have installed in the mod here in the interface. It shows the number, first and last name of the driver. It shows what the car file is, or the actual car itself, like what the car file is named. And you also have maps too, which we will get into once we start talking about importing real-life data and processing that into driver ratings. And we also have just the selected icon over here on the right as well. But kicking things off here, we're going to take a look at modifying ratings, of course, within the software. Like I said, it does such a great job of streamlining the process of editing ratings. So selecting just a random driver, we're going to scroll down a little bit here, and look here, we're just going to go with the 00 of Buckshot Jones, and over here on the right will be the ratings for both the driver, the vehicle, and the pit crew. And you'll be able to see both the minimum rating and the maximum rating, which for NR2003 pretty much calculates between the minimum and the maximum as you go into a race weekend. So the value that it will roll will be within these values. So, as for Buckshot Jones, if I were to load into, say, a road course race, it is the same pretty much throughout all these values, but it will roll a value in between 63 and 86, and that is what his rating will be in terms of the skill level for road courses. But that's basically how the ratings will play out and how they look here in the software. But diving into actually editing the ratings themselves, we're going to start out here. You have an option to bulk modify the ratings manually, which will give you an option to select the ratings you want to change. In this case, I'm going to just say that we're going to give them a bit of a vehicle upgrade. For the minimum only, you can choose either minimum, maximum, or both if you want to edit both minimum and maximum. And then you have the cars you want to change. You do it through the current car that you have selected, all the cars you have selected. We were talking about the selection boxes earlier, or you can edit all of them. And then you have a bunch of different preferences. You can either have a randomized value, you can add a value, multiply by a value, or set to a value. I'm just going to do set to value, and we're at 63. I'm just going to give him a little bit of a up here. We're going to go 65. And then it will also have an additional option for group modifications for the number and the name if you want to add all these modifications to, let's say, if it's number, it'll add this modification to all the 00s, or name, it will add this modification to everybody with the name Buckshot Jones. So we're just going to go with the current car selected, and we're going to click apply. And then let's go back over here. We will see the engine rating has changed to 65, and it will come up blue here on the main interface, which basically means that the ratings has been changed, but it has not been saved yet. So then we will see down here, we have save modified cars and discard all changes. Of course, if you do save it, it will save and turn green. You should see down here, save successful. And then if we take it back to normal, it will do the same thing. So, that's basically just a look into manually editing your ratings within the software, but now we're going to take a look at one of the really cool aspects of this program. We're going to import ratings with real-life data. We'll open up this interface here to get ratings from real-life data. You will have to sign in to 64Soft to use this part of the application. But once you do actually get this up, you can choose between the series. You have a bunch of different years to choose from, all the way back to 1949 for the NASCAR Cup Series. But we wanted to go just 2003, and all the races from the 03 season will pop up. Select all, and then you'll have a bunch of different formulas to choose from. Of course, all these formulas play out quite differently in terms of how it takes this data and processes it into ratings. And of course, I know everybody definitely has their preferences for how they want their ratings to play out, so. But you do have a lot of options here, so I'm just going to go with Max Graphics Cup. And we're going to apply, and that will edit everybody's ratings, and then you'll see the maps too. Here on the right will change to all the drivers in the season that it will map to. And that's pretty much just about it. It'll change all the ratings based on the data from the season. So with all that being said, that is a bit of a deep dive here into the NRatings software. Of course, like I mentioned, if you do want to use all the features for this, you will have to register with 64Soft, which could be a pretty simple process. It should give you the option to sign in once you open the application for the first time. But, of course, for the importing ratings from real-life data, of course, everybody has their different preferences for ratings. Some like it strictly realistic, some like a little bit of parody in there as well, so it's all about just playing around with the settings and everything, finding your preferences. And while there is definitely a lot of options built in, it might not suit everybody, but that's kind of just the magic of this program and this game as well. Everybody has a different preference, and just let you run wild with your creativity. But of course, that'll probably do it here for this video. Of course, make sure you all like, subscribe, and comment what you want to see come to the channel next. But until then, you all take care and have yourselves a good one.